Yo, what up, what up? It's your man, Brandon Carter. We're about to get into my top 20 books of 2020. Let's get into it. All right, so these aren't necessarily going to be the top 20 books I read this year. They're going to be my top 20 books of the decade. A lot of them I read the decade before, but I reread them again. When you get a good book, you got to reread it many, many times to really digest and comprehend the knowledge. And the funny thing about reading a new book is it feels different. You learn something new. And the book changed, you change. So if you get books off these lists, read them over and over again, year after year. You'll notice that the books will resonate with you in a different way once you have more maturity and more experience. And then before we get into it, there's one thing we need to make clear. You have to hit the like button. Go ahead and hit the like button because it helps with the YouTube algorithm so more people will see it. It helps me out. So hit that like button right now. You hit it? You hit it? All right, cool. Now let's get into it. Now, one more thing before we get started. You got to remember that when I give you my top 20 books, it really means something. I've been reading at least 2 books a week for the last 20 years. So it's not like some just saying, oh, these are the best books. No. I've read hundreds and hundreds of books and I'm wildly successful, like hella rich. And that's why all these books will be non-fiction books that will actually help you in your life. I don't really read fiction, nothing wrong with it. It's just not my thing. I like reading nonfiction books because nonfiction books have information that I can apply immediately to my life. So these are all going to be business or personal development books, help you get some motherfucking money, help you get your mind right. All right, let's get into it. So number 20 is a book I've read countless times. You can see by how up my copy of it is. This has been through the ringer. This is Creative Mind and Success by Ernest Holmes. Now, there's a lot of books on the law of attraction and the secret and all that other, and most of them are nonsense. It's straight. And a lot of you may read this and feel the same, but the main takeaway of this book, what I got from it was, when you meet someone who's successful, when you meet someone who's like balling, doing, living the life that you want to live, that seems to have all the wealth and the prestige and, all the other things that most people want. When you meet that person, they have what Ernie called an atmosphere of success. You ever meet somebody and you've been in their presence and you feel confident, you feel like you can go out and do something just by being around them? So what Ernie said in the book was they don't have that atmosphere of success because they're successful. No. They're successful because they had the atmosphere of success. And some people may call it fake it till you make it, but I don't think like fake it till you make it. I like to think live it till you get it. Live it till you get it. So that was my main takeaway. I highly recommend this book for anyone who's into that law of attraction type. I was broke as hell when I read this book. I was working 4 jobs. I would wake up at 4 a.m. and I would take the train from Queens to Harlem to train people in Harlem. And I would read this book on the way. Then I would train people, then take another train to Soho and I would read this book down there. I read this book over and over again, as you can see. And I just started embodying the atmosphere of success. I thought, how would I feel if I already had hit these goals I was trying to hit? If I had already accomplished these things? How would I behave? When you start to do that, you'll have a presence, right? And when you take that presence, that successful presence, people who you want to do business with or you want to work with you or believe in you, they'll feel that and they'll be more likely to invest their time, money, or effort into whatever you're trying to accomplish, right? It goes hard. Next book on the list, Breakthrough Advertising. So one of my mentors, Matt Gallant, recommended this to me. This is probably the best book on marketing ever written. I don't even know if I want to say probably. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's the best book on marketing ever written. You can get it off Amazon, but it costs like $400. Okay, it costs $400. It's probably not the best book for someone who's just starting out because it's very high level marketing, very, very high level marketing, and I had a degree in marketing from Howard University in DC, and that's an amazing school. And I still didn't quite get it the first time I read it. This is a book you have to read over and over again. And especially as you progress in your journey in business, this book is like the roadmap for your marketing. As your marketing changes, the messaging and the tactics have to change along with it. And this book would definitely give you the roadmap to navigate the new terrain you encounter as you go down your journey in business. Number 18, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill is best known for his classic book, Think and Grow Rich. This takes it a step further. A lot of people, including myself, believe that this is his best book. This is his finest work. And it's so crazy that he didn't want it to be published while he was alive because it was too crazy. He knew he'd be ostracized during that time or ridiculed for the contents of this book. So he said it can only be published after he died because he didn't want to deal with. And then his family was like, yo, this shit is crazy. Don't put this out till all of us die. Like his immediate family's like, nah, I don't want till we dead either because we don't want motherfuckers coming at us crazy. If you read it, you'll know why, but there's some jewels in here. There's some gems in here. And this is not a book you want to read once. It's a book you want to read over and over and over again. If you're serious about success in life or accomplishing anything big, I highly, highly, highly recommend this book. And don't get the physical book. Physical book is fine. Get the audio book. The audio book is beast mode. This is one of the books where the audio version is significantly better than the print version because it's really a conversation and these different voices, and it's pretty cool. The audio book is the way to go for this one. Number 17, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Okay, so most of my life I didn't take sleep seriously. You know, all this, I hustle, sleep when you're dead, all that. That's nonsense. Matthew's a professor of neuroscience and psychology at UC Berkeley. And what he noticed is basically being sleep deprived drives crazy. It kind of really you up, not only physically, but also mentally. For me, that's really important, particularly because I have been diagnosed with bipolar 2. Y'all got that old bipolar. I got the new bipolar 2. What Matthew went over in this book was that most psychological problems are either caused by or exacerbated by lack of sleep or any sort of sleep deprivation. So instead of taking pills and any like pharmaceuticals to treat my bipolar, I just make sure I get enough sleep and I meditate. We're gonna talk about that later in some of the other books. But basically, I make sure I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night to keep from going crazy. Matthew went really in depth into how sleep can also help you with your immune system. It can help with your learning. And he really went very in depth. Now you can read the book if you want, or he also has an interview on Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't know if Joe Rogan still has that on YouTube anymore, but the interview with him on Joe Rogan's podcast is basically the whole book. It's like a 2-hour interview and he basically went over everything in the book. I kind of recommend that over the book. Not that the book is bad. It's just what's more important is that you get the knowledge, that you digest the information, and maybe that podcast with Joe Rogan may be a little more suitable for most of you guys. So check that out if you can find it somewhere. And number 16 is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a from my friend, Mark Manson. Fun fact, I got the first copy of this book ever. The first physical copy. Mark gave it to me. I've known Mark since before that book came out. He lives in New York. We're homies. We've been to a few basketball games together. Like we actually hang out. I've been to his house to watch football. That's like my dog. And he gave me the first physical copy. I don't know if the first one in existence, but the first one he gave to me before it came out. You know, I had him sign it and everything. I don't have it with me. I wish I did for this video. It's somewhere else. One of the main takeaways of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a it's not like a Tupac kind of, yo, the world. Like, it's not that kind of, I don't give a yo, I don't give a It's not like that. It's more like, one of the points that Mark tried to make was there's too much stuff in the world for you to give a about everything. So you have to choose what you're going to give a about and only give a about those things and give a hard about those things. For example, how you can apply that to your life is, you know, this year, a lot of crazy happened. And I saw a lot of friends of mine, you know, some of my successful friends, millionaires, they were always complaining online about masks and about liberals or whatever and all this other. And I was just like, bro, just get money. Why are you thinking about all that? Can you still make money with a mask on? Then do that, right? Who gives a right? That's how I saw it. Granted, I'm a lot more liberal than a lot of my friends. Most of my friends are conservative, even though I'm a liberal. And I was just like, bro, you got to relax. You can't control the wind, but you can always adjust your sails. I don't give a about most things. I see people complaining, carrying on social media, and I'm just like, yo, as long as my family's good and I'm good, my employees are good, my customers are happy, life is good, man. That's all you can really worry about, because there's so much shit going on. It's like you can't give a about all of it. You really can't. There's like no way you can give a about every issue. So I just choose to narrow my focus to my friends, families, customers, and employees. But I really give a about all them. I'm gonna make sure that all those things are good. And I get a whole bunch of money, money. And as long as I'm doing that, that's cool, man. What, we all gotta wear masks? Cool. Can't travel? All right, cool. Can I still get money? Cool. My family still good? Cool. My friends still good? And I found that once I adopted that philosophy, even before I read Mark's book, I was just a lot happier. You know, I used to be like an ultra left-wing, always complaining about some social issue or something like that. But then as I got older, I was like, yeah, I can't really change that with an Instagram post. So it. Let's just get money. And I know how that sounds, and I might be taking it a little too far. I might be taking it further than Mark intended. But that's just how I am. I'm just like, yo, I'm just gonna get money, make sure my family, employees, friends, and my team is good, and can't help everybody. I can't help everybody. I can't save the world. Big Brandon Carter can't do it. So I don't try anymore. As I articulate this, it sounds a little heartless. I'm not saying I don't care. And I'm not saying that was Mark's intention when he wrote the book. In fact, I know Mark very well. I know that it wasn't. That's just how I took it, even before I read the book. And the book just gave me more vindication to behave in that manner. I don't know if that was Mark's intention, but whatever. I pay taxes. I donate to charities. I want to feel like I don't care about anyone. When all the looting happened earlier this year after the riots, I was donating to businesses that got destroyed. I donated thousands of dollars. I set up GoFundMes, for people. Like I support people, but I only worry about the things that I can affect. I guess that's the difference. I only worry about the things that are within my control. If it's not in my control, I just find a way to make money and succeed under those circumstances. If it's not in my control, hey, nothing I can do. Let's focus on the things that I can control. And I was just so much happier. So even when I see things that upset me out in the outside world, like when all those businesses were looted and vandalized, I was like, all right, what can I do? All right. I was just donating to a bunch of them, setting up GoFundMes to a lot of them and helping out. And that was it. That's just how I took it. I definitely didn't get on social media complaining about it, talking. I didn't think that would really help anything. It just, I don't know, stir up controversy. I don't know, I'm spending too much time on that book. Read the book, interpret it the way you want. Number 15 is a negotiation book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Chris Voss is an FBI hostage negotiator. Those are real high stakes negotiations what Chris is doing. We're talking life and death. And the tactics that he used really helped me in both my sales and in my negotiation strategies. When you're in business, you got to do a lot of negotiation, both with your own employees, with other companies, with other business partners, and things of that nature. And I found Chris's tactics very, very helpful. He also has a masterclass on that app or website called Masterclass, which is also solid. If you have to do any sort of negotiations in business, life, girlfriend, with your kids, baby mama, this book will help you immensely. Now, one caveat. You can get too good at negotiating. I have had times in my life where I've put together business deals that were too good for me and not good enough for the person I was doing business with. So what happened was I got what I wanted. And I was like, yeah, I won, right? Ha ha ha. But because the person wasn't getting enough, they weren't as invested and they didn't work as hard. So I didn't get enough out of them. So what I've realized is once you acquire a certain skill level in negotiation, it's almost better to tone it down a little bit and overpay people and almost let them get the better deal sometimes so you can get the most out of them, so they'll be more invested. Because I've made the mistake of going too hard with my negotiation skills and getting everything I wanted, but then it wasn't a good deal in the end because the person didn't work hard because they weren't as invested. So be careful with that skill because you can use it to your disadvantage. There's a point of diminishing returns with negotiation skills. Number 14, the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. This book is a classic. It really helped me. As you can see that my copy is beat up because I've read it multiple times. Following the laws in this book have really helped me from making some big mistakes. And sometimes when I've made big mistakes with marketing and then went back and read the book, I was like, oh, I broke this law. I get it. And a lot of times I'll see my competitors, and I use that term competitor loosely. Just because you go to church don't mean you're competing with Jesus, you know? But I'll see them and they think they're competing with me. And then I'll see them break one or more of the laws and I'll be like, this is gonna work out in my favor. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to have that sort of knowledge and that depth to actually see your mistakes and also to just help you avoid a lot of mistakes. What's really been interesting for me lately is just watching other business people or other businesses, watching them make the mistakes and seeing how it pans out for them. This book is highly recommended. You need to read this. You don't just read it, you memorize the laws. You read this and memorize the laws, commit them to memory. This is one of the books where you want to make flashcards and memorize the laws. If you're serious about business, and when I say business, I mean, if you want to have $1 million business, if you're just trying to make, a few six figures or just $1 million, then all right, you don't need. But if you're trying to make millions, if you're putting up big numbers, you got to follow the laws. Number 13 is Principles by Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is one of the richest ever. Ray Dalio's net worth is over $16 billion, like 16 with a B. He's the founder of Bridgewater Capital, one of the most successful hedge funds of all time. I think it might be the most successful hedge fund. I'm not sure. But in his book, Principles, he not only breaks down the life principles that help them be successful, but also the business ones. So there's kind of two sections where he one section where he breaks down his life principles and one section where he breaks down his business principles. And I found it very, very useful and also insightful. This is a book I'd recommend the audio. I'd recommend the audio book version of this because it's kind of good to hear Ray speak itself. Something about it, I don't know. I like the audio better than the book, and it's rare that that's the case, but I like the audio better than the book. It's definitely one of the books you want to either read or listen to multiple times. Every time I read it or listen to it, I feel like I learned something new, something that I didn't get the first time. So I highly recommend you read that book over and over again. Number 12, Willpower by two motherfuckers whose names I am not going to try to pronounce on camera. People always ask me, how do you become more disciplined? How do you become more disciplined? Brandon, how you have so much discipline? I see you waking up early, going after a grinding year after year. You're so consistent and awesome. How you do it? One of the books that will help you acquire the discipline that's required to hit big goals and achieve great things is this one, Willpower. My main takeaway from this book was the fact that willpower itself, discipline, is almost like a battery. It's like a battery and it's like a muscle. So day to day, it's like a battery, meaning you have a certain amount of discipline, a certain amount of willpower each day. And you use it up as the day goes by. And then at the end of the day, you're spent. You're out of willpower. This is why people eat at night. This is why people can't get a lot of work done at the end of the day, because they're just out of discipline. They're just out of it. You only have so much each day. That's how it's like a battery. But then it's like a muscle at the same time, because the more you use it, you can train yourself to have more, meaning you use your discipline. The more you use it, the more you build your battery's capacity to have more each day. I'm mixing metaphors up. That might have been confusing. Don't worry about the muscle part. Worry about the battery part for the sake of this conversation. Just know that your discipline or willpower each day is actually finite. You only have so much, so you have to be clear about what you're going to use it. And there's something called the decision fatigue. The more decisions you have to make and the more things you have to do and think about, it fucks up your discipline. Your brain uses 20% of your body's energy each day. Part of that is using discipline or willpower, but it's also making decisions. One of the recommendations they made was to make fewer frivolous decisions and save your energy for things that are important. For example, I wear this black t-shirt and these Lululemon pants almost every day. And they cited that's why Steve Jobs wore the same shit every day. That's why for a long time, Mark Zuckerberg was wearing the same shit every day, because it's one less decision. Because high-level entrepreneurs have to make bigger decisions or have to use a lot more willpower and discipline, so they don't think about the frivolous. I eat the same breakfast every day. I don't cook. I don't go to the grocery store. I don't do all that. All that shit is automatic. You know, Amazon just delivers my shit every week. My food gets delivered here every week, or my girl cooks it, because I don't want to have to make these decisions, because I need to save my energy for big things. Does this make sense? It might not make sense, but if you read the book, it will. These can explain it in these pages way better than I can explain it in a few seconds on this video. Number 11 is Courage by Osho. So Osho is one of these like spiritual, but like it's funny. It's funny, man. Osho also had over 30 Rolls Royces. He liked to ride a different Rolls Royce every day. Rolls Royce. But he also was this is how he looks. You wouldn't think that this fucking guy, hold up. You wouldn't think that this fucking guy had 30 Rolls Royces, right? But he did though. And if I'm gonna read some spiritual, it's gonna be from someone who's balding like that. Well, this book ain't about getting money, it's about having courage. And my main takeaway from this book was that courage is not the absence of fear. In fact, you need fear to be courageous. Like if you know you're gonna accomplish something, if there's no fear, then it's not courage when you go out and do it. That's not courageous. That's having confidence. Lack of confidence is actually required in order to be courageous. Let me explain. Let's say Michael Phelps was on the beach and they dropped him off like a mile out in sea and he had to swim back. Nothing for him, man. He swims miles all the time. That wouldn't take courage for him to do that. That's confidence. He knows he's been doing swimming his whole life. I got. Now, if I were to do that, if I were doing it for whatever reason, then I wouldn't do it just cause. Let's say I had to do it to save someone's life or some stupid. I don't know. For me to do it, that would take courage. That would be courageous because I have zero confidence in my ability. So basically, a lot of times people say, how do I become more confident? How do I become more confident? Maybe you don't need to be confident right now. In fact, if you're not confident, it's probably for a reason, because you're probably not good at whatever the you want to be good at. So if you do the thing anyway, even though you don't have any confidence, well, that's courageous. That's admirable. Being courageous is admirable. We look up to people who are courageous. We make movies about people who are courageous. And it's good that you're not confident in the thing. Because if you were confident about some that you're not good at, well, that would be delusional. That's delusion, right? If I wanted to do my own plumbing and I was like, yeah, I got it. Where was that pipe? Give me the wrench or the thing and I'll get in there and around with it. That would be delusional for me to be confident about that. I never did no plumbing. I never with no pipe. Pause. But if that shit start fucking up and I need to start going haywire and I gotta do something now and I do it, well, that's me being courageous. All right, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try anyway, man, because I got courage. That was like my main takeaway from this book. It's okay to be scared. If you're scared to do something and something you should do, then it's okay to be scared. Don't worry about being confident. Be courageous. And the funny thing is, if you do the thing, even if you fail, if you keep doing whatever it is that you're scared to do or that you're not good at, you'll get good at it, with effort, with more repetitions. And what will happen is you'll start to build skill. You'll start to develop a competence in that skill and in that endeavor. And that competence will give you confidence. See, confidence comes from competence. Some people just be like, hey, I'm confident. I want to be more confident just because I love myself. No, man. Babies love themselves and I love babies, but I have zero confidence in a fucking baby. I can't even leave this alone. My whole time with my son is me like stopping him from killing himself, right? Jumping off of sticking his hands in the fucking outlet or something, drinking the bleach or something. I have zero confidence in a baby. He has no skills. That doesn't mean I love him any less. Confidence doesn't come from self-love. Confidence comes from competence. And if you don't have the confidence and you want to do something that you're not competent in, that takes courage, baby. And that's what this book is about developing. The courage. Read the book, man. This got 30 Rolls Royces. You ain't got just read the book. All right, now we are in the top 10. And it starts with my friend, Ryan Holiday. Ego is the enemy. And it's kind of cool we talk about ego is the enemy right after courage. Ryan's actually a friend of mine. I interviewed him a few times on my channel, so I have a bunch of videos. You can find them somewhere on my channel with me talking to Ryan. Basically piggybacks on what I was saying about courage, how sometimes people can be so overconfident. They start to feel themselves and they get a big ego and they start to make mistakes, and it actually their downfall. It's something I learned once I became kind of successful. It's not only is it dangerous, it's intoxicating, right? You start to chase success and you start to feel yourself. Once you accomplish something, you start accomplishing things, you become confident. But that confident can sometimes be baseless. For example, you might see one businessman, he's successful in business, and he said, well, I'm just gonna start another company and succeed at that. I'll give you an example of my life. When I first started my online fitness business, right, I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of trial and error. Then I got some mentors, and it took me years, but I finally figured out how to make money out of it, made a 7-figure business. Then I started the supplement line, and that had its own growing pains, but I approached it, very pragmatic, and I was able to succeed in that realm as well. And you built a 7-figure supplement company. And then I started feeling myself, and I said, fuck it, I'm gonna come out with a food prep company. And I came out with a food prep company here in New York called Keto Prep Pro. I don't know about the food industry. I was just feeling myself because I had a bunch of successes and I put a bunch of money in it, a bunch of time and effort, and I lost sight of all the hard work that it took me to build those other businesses. I lost sight of it, and I kind of just went too hard on Keto Prep Pro, and I didn't take into account that it was a whole nother industry. Basically, the food industry is totally different, but I was feeling myself. It was a colossal failure, lost a bunch of money, lost the time. Those past successes kind of like had me feeling myself a little bit, and it was humbling. And, I read this book again after that. I was like, oh yeah, that's what happened. I was feeling myself too hard. I thought I can do all this other even though I had success in these other fields, I thought I can do this as well. I thought that I couldn't lose, and you can lose. That's just one example from my life, and that's just one takeaway from this book. This is one of the best books I've ever read. You should really check it out. Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Number 9 is actually the only book on this list that I read for the first time in 2020, and it's called Trading in the Zone. I don't have the physical book on me, but the audio book was really good too. A lot of people have been asking me, Brandon, how'd you get so good at the stock market? How you making so much money in the stock market? Because I made a tremendous amount of money this year, and it was my first year even with it. And one of the reasons I was able to attain so much success trading was, one, I got a mentor. My homie Derek Moneyberg is actually one of my best friends, and he kind of like broke it down for me and talked to me, and he was with me like every step of the way. But also this book, man, this book is the only book I recommend on trading. And fun fact, it won't tell you about charts or trading strategies. It's all about the mental part. Because here's the thing, 98% of traders lose. That's almost all of them. And the 2% that win, it's not because they have a better trading strategy, and it's not because they know the charts better. It's because they control their mind. And this book is so good. I don't just apply it to trading. You got to apply it to life. And one of the things that he said over and over in the book is anything can happen. So this actually piggybacks off the last story I gave you guys where I talked about how I was reckless getting into the food industry. I didn't think I could lose. I didn't think anything could go wrong. I was feeling myself. But in that book, in Trading in the Zone, he talks about how anything can happen. Anything can happen. And you have to prepare for that. You have to prepare for some shit that you didn't even think could happen. This is why I say it's like a great book for life, not just for trading. I feel like everyone should read it, and just, you don't even have to apply it to trading. Apply it to your life and protect the downside. And it was funny that I read that for the first time here in 2020, because as we've seen this year, anything can happen. Who would have thought that this shit would have happened this year? You know, this shit was crazy. But if you believe anything can happen, maybe you have a plan for that. Maybe not a plan for this, but at least, you know, basically, let's say anything can happen, right? It's 2019, anything can happen. So maybe you have a bunch of money saved. Maybe you have resources and backup plans in the case if something goes wrong. Now, luckily, I already had that kind of mindset. I talked about that in my interview with Ryan Holiday. Maybe we'll link it. We're gonna link the videos where me and Ryan Holiday talk about it, because, yo, anything can happen, man. And you gotta be prepared for anything as best you can, right? How do you prepare for what happened this year? Well, one is having a bunch of resources. You guys always heard me talk about that story with the ants and the grasshoppers. Those of y'all don't know, let me break it down. It's summertime, right? The ants, they working hard all summer. Things are good, but they working hard, they stacking up, man. But the grasshopper, man, he around. He doing his thing all summer, man. He's playing games and Grasshopper out here playing grab ass. You know what I'm saying? Partying and and then he was laughing at the ants. He's like, yo, you lame ass ant dorks is working all summer. You need to be out here getting it lit with me. And the ants was like, nah, winter's coming, man. Like, winter, man, it's summertime, man. Let's have some fun. Let's party. We deserve it. Blah, blah, blah. All that people say, right? And then, winter came. Ants had hella food. They was straight. And then the grasshopper, he was like, oh, I'm starving. I ain't got. Yo, ants, can you hook me up with some food, man? Can you save my ass? Cause I ain't been working hard. I was all summer. And ants was like, nah, you loser. We're gonna watch you die while we eat this food. I don't know how that story really ends, but that's how it ends in real life, especially if you're a man. If you're a hot chick, you know, you'll find somebody to take care of you. But if you're a man, ain't nobody coming to save you, man. You're right. You got to prepare. And the winter is like a metaphor. Like this year was like a winter. Winter is always coming, no matter how good it is. So it's kind of like always be preparing, though. The more you sweat during peace, the less you bleed during war. So while times were good, all these last years, I was grinding. I was hustling. You see me. You know what I'm saying? So by the time the came, by the time 2020 came and the world fell apart, I had a bunch of money. I had a bunch of going on. In fact, I had a surplus of money. I was able to invest it in the stock market and other things, and I came up like it's crazy, man. That's why you see me with all these diamonds and, you know, I worked hard during the summer, and I had a bunch of resources during the winter where I was able to survive. If you didn't have that, that's cool. If you didn't have that and you lived through 2020, well, winter doesn't last forever either. So next time it's summer, just know, hey, man, anything can happen. Anything can happen. That's like my main takeaway from the book. Anything can happen. You always got to be prepared. It's the only book on trading that I recommend because, listen, you can learn how to trade for free, but you can't learn how to control your mind. It's not the patterns that will you up. It's your mind that will you up. Fear and greed. Read the book. Number 7, Stress Less, Accomplish More by my friend, Emily Fletcher. Okay, this book is about meditation, and it is by far the best book on meditation ever written. Now, I haven't read every book on meditation, but I can confidently say this one is the best. I read a lot, and this is the only one I recommend. You know, I've been meditating for the last 10 years, and I read this the end of last year, top of this year. And fun fact, the girl who recommended this to me, she said, oh, this book really helped me. But she's a lunatic, so I don't know if it worked for her, but it worked for me. And it really just took my meditation practice to the next level. And here's the thing about meditation. It's gonna help you accomplish 2 things. One, it's gonna help you focus. Most people, especially a lot of young people who grew up on the internet, they have a hard time focusing. I can see that they lack the ability to focus, but it's not just young people, it's people in general. Meditation trains you to focus. So if you have to work on something, if you have to really, accomplish something big, you're gonna need prolonged periods of focus, and you got to do that all the time. Like it takes a lot of focus, a lot of dedication, a lot of determination, and laser focus. And meditation is the only way I know how to train yourself to have the focus that's required to accomplish anything worthwhile. But that's just where it started. That's what got me into meditation, right? It wasn't no spiritual woo. It was just that I wanted to focus more, and so I could get more things done, make more money, come up. What I didn't realize was that meditation helps you deal with stress better. So a lot of times things happen, things go haywire, things go wrong, especially this year. And when I see people panicking and tripping and complaining, and I just sit back and think, oh yeah, they don't meditate, which is almost everybody. But for me, I'm not saying I'm like a Zen Buddhist, right? But I'm pretty calm under stressful situations. And I 100% attribute that to my meditation practice. And what's kind of cool, meditation has tons of benefits, right? It lowers cortisol. When your cortisol is low, your testosterone is higher, right? Help you sleep better, helps build discipline, and helps control anxiety and depression. These are all scientifically backed statements. I meditate twice a day, every day for 15 minutes. And that's the protocol in Emily's book. And it's really changed my life. It's helped me deal with so many things, and it's helped me make more money. It's helped me make more money. I'm always going to bring it back to that. I'm always going to bring it back to making money. It's helped me make more money. It helped me feel better, become happier, sleep better, have less stress, less anxiety, and really just more confidence in my ability to go out in the world, accomplish things, and to deal with life, deal with all the difficult things that happen in life. I'm a lot calmer than most people in stressful situations. Like when a stressful situation arises, I am a lot cooler than I used to be before I started meditation. And honestly, a lot cooler than most people. I'm coming out with a video on meditation, and Emily's going to be in the video as well. It's going to be a long video. We're really going to break down. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't already. And speaking of dealing with stress and stressful situations, number 7 on the list is The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Ryan is the only author who appeared twice on this list. This must be very exciting for you, Ryan, if you're watching. Sure, you sold millions of books. You're well respected and one of the best-selling and highly regarded authors of our time, but being on my list twice? Obstacle is the Way. And basically, this book is about how stressful situations or things that you would consider obstacles can actually be used to help you accomplish your goals. Basically, it's about stoicism. And if you hear the stuff I was saying earlier about how you can't control the wind, you could only adjust the sails, this book really cemented my allegiance to that philosophy. I never complain about shit. I never cry. I don't even get really worked up about things that are bad. I just figure, okay, these are the circumstances. How do we make money under these circumstances? Oh, the world fell apart. Okay, how do we make money and thrive under these circumstances? Instead of just complaining about it and crying about it, oh, I gotta wear a mask and everything's shut down. Okay, how do I succeed under these circumstances? That's all I do. I never trip, Not saying I get sad if people, I get sad if people die or whatever. But you know what? Even that, right? My father killed himself when I was 24, right? Shot himself in the head, shot his brains out. Looking back, that was a pivotal moment in my life. That's when I became a man. I really believed that up until that point, I kind of was reckless. I wasn't taking life as seriously because I always felt like, yo, man, whatever happens, my dad, man, he got my back, man. He'll take care of me. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. But once he took his life, I was forced to actually man up and really go after my goals because there was no safety net. And I found out that the safety net was kind of fake. I was living a lie. He couldn't have saved me if I wanted. Nigga couldn't save himself. I'm not saying I'm happy that happened. I would prefer to have a dad for sure. But I made the most of it. These are the new circumstances I'm in. How do we survive under these circumstances? And that's how I approach everything. You never hear me complaining. You never see me crying about shit. Not saying I don't have emotions, but I just look at it, all right, how do we win? How do we win under these circumstances? Because life's going to come at you and it's going to come hard. Life is going to hit you so many different ways from angles that you haven't even thought about. And you got two options, really. Under those circumstances, you can either cry, complain, wish things are different, let life have its way with you, or you can have your way with life, man. Whatever circumstances come, it's just like, all right, how do we win under those circumstances? I just think that all the time. And this book goes into depth of how to cultivate that mindset and skill, and it will make you stronger and more resilient. That plus meditation, oh man, you'll be unstoppable. Honestly, I really feel like I'm unstoppable. I know that things can go wrong, but because I will use whatever happened to my advantage, I don't know if I can lose. Or if I do lose, I know that I'll make the most out of that situation as well, right? So it gives you a certain level of confidence where you can just approach life knowing that even though life's gonna have its way with you sometimes, knowing that, okay, this happens to everyone, I'm not exempt. Everyone goes through. How do I win under these circumstances? Man, that attitude will help you more than anything I can think of. Read this book, start meditating, and you'll cultivate that. You'll have more resilience. You won't be so scared to go after things. You'll develop more courage. All right, number 6, 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I've done an interview with Robert Greene before as well. This book has been very instrumental in my life. This is a hood classic. Like if you go to the hood, right? I'm from Southside Chicago. You go to the hood, anybody who wants to accomplish something in the hood, if they only got one book, they got this one. And it's a long, tedious read. Seriously, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a long read. Robert is very long-winded, but it's worth it if you can make it through it. This is a newer copy. I've read it several times. I like this book so much that I actually at one point had flashcards of all the laws. You got to do that if you really want to retain the knowledge that you get from a book. Sometimes I do that. I'm a dork. I make flashcards of things, and I made flashcards of the 48 Laws of Power. And it really helped me in certain situations, especially when I want to make decisions. You know, I start thinking about, okay, a lot of times because I memorize the laws, you know, we'll have options of what we want to do when we want to make a decision. And if one of them violates the laws, I'm like, nah, we don't do it. Or the laws will help me in my decision making. You know, a lot of people criticize this book and they say it's evil or manipulative. And I look at it more like a knife. A knife is not good or bad within itself. It's how you use it, you know? Like I can use a knife to cut up food that I feed my son, right? Oh, is feeding a baby evil? Or I can use a knife to go on a stabbing spree and start stabbing random people. That is evil. The laws are neutral. It's how they are used. And if you're someone who is against evil, if you are anti-evil, it's imperative that you understand the laws so you can protect yourself and family against them when they are used against you. And you can use them for good, man. It's imperative you learn the laws. And if anyone who reads the book and who's followed my career over the years, you see me implement them. If you've memorized the laws, you see me implement them many times. And they are laws. They are not like good ideas. They are laws. And if you implement them correctly, you'll have some success. Read the book, memorize the laws, commit them to memory. I highly suggest that. And check out the interview with me and Robert if you want to go into detail about it. Oh, we are in the top 5, and we're starting the top 5 with Influence by Robert Cialdini. If you are in marketing or advertising or sales in any capacity, and you all are, whether you think you are or not, you have to read this book and memorize what's in it. This is a book you want to read over and over again. You see, I got it earmarked. I got all read it over and over again. I probably listened to the audio book over 100 times. You know, it can be applied to marketing and sales, but it's basically just psychology. And this is another book that people will say is evil if they read it, but you guys gotta get your mind right. Like nothing is good or bad. It's all how it's used. Even if you think it's evil, you need to understand how evil people are behaving, and you'll see how good people are behaving too, right? It works both ways. I mean, this is a book you want to read, take notes, really memorize, man, because it's been so pivotal to me in my business and in life. One of my friends is like, he teaches pickup. He's one of the pickup artists. He said this is the best book on game. Another one of my friends says the best book on marketing. It's just on human psychology. This is one of the best books you can read. If you want to know why people behave certain ways or why certain things work when they shouldn't, read the book, man. And if you have a business or are interested in having any sort of business, this is required reading. If you haven't read this and you haven't memorized it, it's amateur hour, man. You're not even really trying. Influence by Robert Cialdini. I cannot summarize it in a way that will do it justice. Read it and read it over and over again. Number 4, Deep Work by Cal Newport. I just showed you the audiobook because I can't find my physical version of it. Do not get the audiobook. It is trash. The first time I read it was the first year I made $1 million in 1 year, and I would not have made that $1 million without that book. There's actually 2 books, this one and the next one, that I read over and over that year, and without those 2 books, I would not have made that first $1 million. I can't really articulate this book as well as I'd like, but I'll attempt to. Basically, it teaches you how to work in a way that's more effective than the way most people work. Most people work is, it's not even really work, but deep work, going deep on a task, it's different. It's almost like a superpower, right? It's almost like a superpower. And if you cannot cultivate the ability to work like this, you will never succeed in life. And I can say that without exaggeration. You will not be able to succeed in life. You will be mediocre at best in any endeavor you attempt. It's not a coincidence that I made my first $1 million the first year I read that book, because I read it and I applied it. It changed my life. You have to read this book because listen, getting rich, being successful, or accomplishing anything takes work. Everyone knows that. The thing is, a lot of people work hard. A lot of people are hard workers, but they're not successful, or financially successful at least. A lot of times when I meet entrepreneurs and they're not like succeeding like they want, when I ask them how they work, I already know what they're gonna answer. It's what Cal calls shallow work. And you have to cultivate deep work. It's very difficult for me to articulate it, so I'm not really gonna try. I would say read the book. Don't get the audiobook, it's fucking trash. Read the book. And if you can develop this skill of working the way Cal describes, you will succeed. I guarantee it. We are in the top 3, and number 3 is Relentless by Tim Grover. Now here's the thing. This is the other book I mentioned that I read the first year I made $1 million in a year, and I liked it so much I have Relentless tattooed on my forearm. Tim Grover was a trainer for Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, and others. These are, champions. I didn't learn a lot from this book. What I learned is that I was not as crazy as I thought. Or, you know what? Let me take that back. I confirmed that I was crazy compared to regular people. But the that Tim was saying in this book, I was like, yo, this is what I've been thinking. And like the regular people in my life tried to convince me that this was crazy. Yeah, maybe that's a better way to explain it. And no, this is what's required for extreme success, a level of crazy. And I don't mean like crazy going off the handle, slapping people and shit. I mean a level of dedication and determination that most people will look at and call madness. You're not gonna like this book. And I say that to almost everyone listening. You are not gonna like this book. And a lot of the reviews on this book are kind of bad because you have to be crazy to enjoy it. If you want to accomplish something big, let's say like you have a monetary goal that you want to accomplish. If you want to be a millionaire, you want to make like $100,000. That's easy, man. That's child's play. You know what I'm saying? I teach like my students in my mentorship program. They do that easy. If you want to make millions though, it's going to take everything. And you'll know if you're putting in the right amount of effort when people start calling you crazy. When people look at what you do and they just see madness. They start saying you're obsessed or you're working too hard or blah, 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 blah. That's how you know you're on the right path. And it's weird because I was feeling like that, but there were people around me in my life who say, oh, you work too hard. You need to chill. You need to relax. You're doing good. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm tripping. I'm listening. Then I read this book. I was like, no, I'm not tripping. This is what's required. Albert Einstein said, only one who devotes himself to a cause with his whole strength and soul can become a true master. And for this reason, mastery demands all of a person. If you're not sacrificing at a level that looks like sheer madness, you will not accomplish the goal, and you are not on the right path. If you're serious about massive success, and maybe it's not monetary, maybe you want to change the world or become the best at something, it's going to take everything. It's going to take everything. That was one of my takeaways from the book, sacrifice, man. One level of discipline, one level is doing the things you don't want to do. Okay, that's basic. Like if you watch this much of the video, you probably have that, right? You probably have discipline to do the things that you're supposed to do. The next level is to sacrifice other things for the goal. Who's willing to sacrifice the most? Are you willing to sacrifice nights out? Are you willing to sacrifice fun, adventure, vacations? Are you willing to sacrifice time, video games or whatever it is that you have to give up to accomplish your goal? If you are, then yeah, you're on the right path. If you're not, then hey, maybe it's not for you. This is why most people won't like this book, Relentless, because most people aren't willing to sacrifice everything for their goal. And that's okay. It might be better for you to realize that and then adjust your goals. You know what I'm saying? That's fine. There's no shame in that. You realize, I'm not willing to give up certain things for that. And that's okay. But it's not, but where people up is they want to accomplish something and they're not willing to sacrifice to get there. So they just talk about the people who are. Extreme success comes from extreme effort. And that requires like a level of sacrifice that almost nobody's willing to put in. But if I'm willing to put it in, I can get there. And that was my main takeaway. I suggest you read the book. If you're going to get the book, get the audio version. The Audible is better than the book, but they're both good. Number 2, Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins. Anthony Robbins. And this book I read the first time actually 20 years ago, but it's a book that I keep going back to. And this book changed my life, man. I was 17 when I read this book. I was a different person before I read this book than after. Do not get the audiobook. The audiobook is trash. I bought several copies of the year. This one I got here, I got for $1.50. You know what I'm saying? This book changed my life. And one of the takeaways, there's so many, but one of the takeaways I got from this book was you can actually control your state. And when I say state, I mean your state of mind and your emotional state, right? How you feel. Like if you're happy, you can say this person's in a happy state. If you see somebody crying, that person's in a sad state. You can control your state, and you can control it regardless of outside circumstances or other people. See, how most people live is their state is 100% dictated by outside circumstances or other people. Well, whatever's going on, it controls their state. This book taught me that I could actually control my own state. It's something I never even thought about. And it's different tactics and different things, different ways to do that. So wait a minute, I can be happy under any circumstance. I can feel good under any circumstance. I can change my state. Right, it's all in my mind because emotions are literally all in your head, like literally in your brain. That's why it's so weird when people like set a goal to be happy. Like happy is an emotion. Emotions aren't goals. Emotions you can change right now. You can watch a funny show and change your state. You can have sex with somebody and change your state. You can exercise and change your state. There's so many different ways to change your state, and it fluctuates throughout the day, from moment to moment. And no one lives in this eternal state of happiness. I seen millionaires crying. I seen the homeless people singing and dancing in the street. It's like emotions should be actually detached from circumstances. Nobody should be able to make you happy. No thing should be able to make you happy or make you sad. Like, you should be in control of that. Your emotions are your responsibility. They're not someone else's. And that was just one of the main takeaways from this book. But there's so many. There's like so many in this book. It's one of the best books I've ever read. In fact, it's number 2 on my list. It's number 2 on my list. Read it and read it over and over again. This is by far the book that I've given to people most as gifts. This book is a game changer, man. And finally, number 1, my number 1 book of 2020. In fact, my number 1 book of all time. Remember, I've read hundreds and hundreds of books. And this is the best out of all of them. This is not the Bible. Remember, I don't read fiction. This is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This book should be required reading in high school. There should be whole classes on it. This book will change your life. And the reason it will change your life is because you have to deal with people in life. And this is the roadmap of how to deal with human beings. It's basically the user manual for humans. We all have to deal with humans in some capacity. And if you have not read this book, you are at a disadvantage. You should read it over and over and over and over and over again, memorize it, and apply it. This is the best sales book of all time. This is the best relationship book of all time. This is the best book. It's the best book of all time. In my humble opinion, there's nothing better. How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's all about dealing with other humans. And that's life. You have to deal with other humans, not only to succeed or to live or even just to be happy. Being isolated from other humans is how we punish the worst among us, right? So to just be happy, you have to deal with other people. This will help you with your friendships. You'll have more friends. You'll have better relationships, with your family, with your business partners, with your employees, with your sexual partners. It will make you a better person. People will like you more, and you will like other people more because you'll be able to harness the best emotions out of them. You can change other people's state. So that book shows you got to change your state, which is important. But imagine if you can change other people's state. It's like a superpower. You can change other people's states just by your presence or how you behave. And then you'll become that person who everybody wants to be around. You'll become that person that everybody wants to work with. You'll become that person who's popular, and that popular person will become successful. People will like you more, and you'll like other people more because they'll be happier around you. Read this book. I hope that was helpful. There will be links to the information we talked to below. And if I'm not lazy, I'll put links to where you can find these books on Amazon. You can also just Google it, man. Right? You lazy. I hope this is helpful. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. And this is a long video. If you made this far, I applaud you. Peace.